for Christmas, they have a bunch of Carnival Rides. And up there, illuminated in red, Edinburgh Castle. Look at that. This bronze statue honors Wojtek, a bear that served in the Polish army. This bear was an orphan cub which was adopted in 1943 by a group of Polish soldiers from the 2nd Military Corps on their way to fight the Nazis during World War II. The bear learned the military salute, and he would carry supplies, drink beer, eat cigarettes, and wrestle with the soldiers. The animal became a big morale booster for the troops. He was given the rank of private and assigned during combat operations to the 22nd Artillery Transport Company, where he helped move crates of ammunition during active combat. After the war, the 22nd Company was transferred to Scotland and demobilized in 1947, and Wojtek was moved to the Edinburgh Zoo, where he was visited by his former comrades in arms and scores of new admirers until his death in 1963. Okay, here is the statue of David Hume. He is portrayed as a Greek philosopher, although he's really a Scottish philosopher. He was one of the fathers of modern rational thought and the founder of the school of philosophical empiricism that claims that ideas come from experience, that there are no innate ideas. He also famously said that the life of a man is to the universe no different from the life of an oyster. But one of the interesting things about this statue is over here. According to tradition, if you rub his toe, your wishes come true. So I'm gonna rub it and wish. Let this video get lots of views. Let this video get lots of views. And world peace, of course. And today we're having breakfast at this shop called 12 Triangles. We're gonna check it out. Okay, we got a chocolate croissant and an almond croissant and a flat white. And here, my daughter Helen got a croissant with butter and jam and a cappuccino. Here we are at Inverleith Park, and there are a lot of birds here, including some swans. Look at that. Here is an amazing house in Edinburgh called the Kirkbrae House. This house rises 100 feet all the way up from the water of Leith down there. And it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 levels. Now this house has a long history going all the way back to the 17th century, into which we're not going to get into right now. The modern version of this house ended up being rebuilt in the Scottish baronial style, where small buildings such as houses are fitted with structures found in castles. This house has many interesting items on its facade. Here there is a relief on the wall from the year 1619 with the inscription, "In the sweat of thy face thou shalt eat bread." This is a passage from the Bible, from the book of Genesis. The house has several nice paneled doors, and this one has an inscription on top that reads Pax Intrantibus. This is Latin for peace to those who enter, which is a welcoming blessing often found in Benedictine monasteries. You can see the rest of the house here. Look at that balcony with the battlement. Here you can see the house has a stepped gable roof. And on top of that window there is an inscription in Latin that reads Nisi Dominus Frustra. This phrase is the official motto of the city of Edinburgh, and it means that without the Lord, everything is in vain. The Kirkbrae House also has 4 sundials. You can see one here. Here is the second one. And if we move a little to the side, you can see the third one here, and this is the fourth one. The house also has a dormer. It is that structure on top of that window. It features a sculpture of a judge holding a sword in one hand and a scale in the other, while protecting a lamb under his arm from 2 lions. Look at that. On the other side of the house, there is a turret with battlements at the top. And at the rear of the house, there is a turret-like chimney with gargoyles. And there are more gargoyles here. And there is even an arrow slit structure. These would be used to shoot arrows out of a castle. The amazing Kirkbrae House. We are here on Melville Street, and down there at the end is St. Mary's Episcopal Cathedral. Look at that building. We're gonna go there to get a closer look. Here's a closer look of St. Mary's Cathedral. You can see that this building has gargoyles. You can see some of them there and up there. And look at the church spire. It just goes up and up and up. Oh boy, it's windy today. This spire rises to a height of 295 feet. And this makes St. Mary's Episcopal Cathedral the tallest building in Edinburgh. The main structure of St. Mary's Episcopal Cathedral was built between 1873 and 1879, and it can seat 1,500 people inside. The cathedral is one of only 3 cathedrals in the United Kingdom that have 3 spires. Here is a gargoyle closer to the ground so we can see it better. It looks like a lion. The cathedral was designed by Sir George Gilbert Scott, who was a famous architect from the Victorian era. The cathedral was designed in what was known as the Gothic Revival style. These twin spires on the western side of the cathedral rise to a height of 175 feet and were built between 1913 and 1917. They are known as Barbara and Mary, after two sisters, Barbara and Mary Walker, who donated the land to build the cathedral. To construct the cathedral, a type of sandstone was used called creamy yellow or blonde sandstone that was obtained from local quarries. This sandstone also acquires a dark tinge if air pollution is present, as was the case in the heyday of Edinburgh's industrial past. All this contributes to the startling colors of the facade of the cathedral that you see here in the sunlight. Here you can see one of the gargoyles on the other side. If you take this person as a reference, you can get an idea of how truly enormous this building is.
Wow.
Look at that. And we're gonna go now to the National Museum of Scotland. This is Dolly the sheep. She was the first mammal to be cloned. Technically, she had three mothers. The one from which the DNA was taken to make the clone, the one that provided the egg into which the DNA was inserted, and the one into which the embryo was implanted, which then carried the pregnancy to term. Dolly gave birth to 6 offspring during her life and died in 2003. This sheep was named after the American singer-songwriter Dolly Parton because the DNA used for the cloning process came from the mammary gland of a sheep. So this is Dolly, the cloned sheep. These crystals are a form of quartz. Quartz is a combination of the elements silicon and oxygen. And these quartz crystals are purple because some of the silicon in the crystal has been replaced by iron. Now, as we zoom out, you can see that this is just a really big, irregularly shaped geode. And what on earth is this? These spherical patterns are called orbicules, and they form when molten rock cools and multiple crystallization events take place in a spherical fashion. The dark areas that you see have a high concentration of iron. This is a plasma ball, and I am going to film it in slow motion. Wow, that was amazing. Okay, I'm standing at the Greyfriars Kirkyard. This is the burial ground. And I want to show you this structure here. This structure is a Mortsafe. And it's one of two in this place. This is one of them. And the other one that we're gonna go to is over here. This is the other Mortsafe. And these structures were placed on top of graves to prevent the body snatchers from digging out recently interred corpses and selling them to medical doctors for dissection. Now this practice ended, the practice of body snatching and digging out bodies to sell to medical doctors, in 1832 with the Anatomy Act that allowed doctors greater access to deceased bodies. But before that, in the early 19th and 18th centuries, it was a big problem. It was an epidemic. These body snatchers, called resurrectionists, they were digging up corpses in all cemeteries and selling them to medical doctors. So this Mortsafe is a sort of memento from those times. We are now gonna have lunch at this restaurant, Greyfriars Bobby. This restaurant is named after a dog in Edinburgh, a terrier, who after his owners died, guarded his grave for 14 years, becoming a local celebrity. And this is his statue. And if you touch his nose, you get good luck. Okay, we are at the Greyfriars Bobby restaurant, and we ordered the spiced parsnip and sweet potato soup, the haggis, neeps and tatties, and the garlic chicken schnitzel. So let's see how those taste. Okay, I ordered a Tennant's beer, which is a very popular beer, and I am gonna try it.
It's just food up this end of the bar, it's just drinks down that way.
Very good. Okay, our food arrived. This is the chicken schnitzel. And this is the
spiced parsnip and sweet potato soup.
okay, and this
is the haggis, neeps, and tatties.
all right. The old Calton Cemetery in Edinburgh has a lot of really magnificent graves and monuments. This cemetery is amazing. We are here at the old Calton Cemetery in Edinburgh, and here there is a memorial that involves the American Civil War. This is the first memorial involving the American Civil War to have been built outside the United States. It was built in 1893. The memorial is in memory of the Scottish American soldiers that died in the American Civil War. It features a freed slave with a stretched arm looking up to a statue of Abraham Lincoln. This is the first statue of Lincoln to have been built outside the United States. The pedestal of the statue features the word emancipation, education, union, and suffrage, the right to vote. This is quite a monument. This monument here is the tallest monument in Old Calton Cemetery. It is the monument to the political martyrs. These were 4 men who campaigned for universal suffrage. They were arrested in 1793 to 94, found guilty of sedition, and they were sent to the infamous penal colony in Australia of Botany Bay. This monument was erected in 1844. And eventually, of course, the cause of universal suffrage succeeded, and the British Isles gained, all the people gained the right to vote, but these were the men that campaigned and suffered for it. Another amazing monument in the old Calton Cemetery is this circular tower, 30 feet tall and 20 feet in diameter. This is the resting place of the philosopher David Hume, the Scottish philosopher David Hume. Now, David Hume had some beliefs for which he was heavily criticized. He believed, for example, that in the world around us there was nothing real, and that all that we see and feel are nothing but ideas. So when Hume died, some Edinburgh students scribbled in pencil on his tomb, "Beneath the circular idea, vulgarly called a tomb, ideas and impressions rest, which constituted Hume." This was a satirical witticism critical of Hume's ideas. So here he rests, the Scottish philosopher David Hume. And here at the old Calton Cemetery, they have this structure, which is also a Mortsafe, a structure to prevent the bodies from being dug up by body snatchers. But this structure is a full-height Mortsafe. Up here. The Mortsafes we saw at Greyfriars Cemetery were at ground level, but this one is full height. And we found a Memento Mori from 1762. No visit to an old cemetery is complete unless you find a Memento Mori, a tomb with a Memento Mori. Here it is. Okay, here is an interesting grave. It starts with James Marshall, who died in 1812, and other people. But this stone was placed here by Stephen Marshall, and he was the great grandson of James Marshall. That's amazing. This is a view of the city of Edinburgh from Calton Hill looking north. That body of water that you see back there is the Firth of Forth, and it connects to the North Sea. This structure here was intended to be a national monument to commemorate the Scottish soldiers who died in the Napoleonic Wars from 1803 to 1815. But it was never finished because the funds to build it ran out in 1829. So since then, this monument has stood unfinished at the top of Calton Hill. It looks like a Greek building. It was built in the Greek neoclassical style. Here is another view of Edinburgh from Calton Hill. That mountain over there is an extinct volcano. It's called Arthur's Seat. Edinburgh is a large city the size of Baltimore in the United States. And over there in the distance, you see Edinburgh Castle. Okay everyone, this is the end of my videos about Edinburgh and Scotland. I hope you found them interesting. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video down the road.
There is a